Good afternoon and welcome to a pre-recorded demonstration of the AEDY referral process. In this demonstration, I'll show you how an LEA that does not have an in-house provider will submit a referral to an outside provider. So once logged in, on your index screen, you'll see a student referrals box in the middle right here. And there will be a link, referrals created by your LEA. You click that and it takes you to a dashboard that displays all the referrals created by your LEA and the status that each of those referrals is in. To create a new one, you would click the green plus sign over here, which takes you to a screen where you'd enter the student secure ID. So for this demonstration, I'm just going to make up a secure ID. But typically, you're going to enter one, and this sends that secure ID to a PIMS database, which more times than not will find the student in their system and return them with the demographic fields already populated. Since I created a fake secure ID, and this is a test district, that won't be the case. In this instance, after the PIMS return fails, you'll have the option to manually add the student and the referral. So I'll go ahead and click that. And it takes you to a demographic screen where you'd enter basic demographic information, which I'll quickly do. Once I'm satisfied with the information I entered, I'd click Create Referral at the bottom of the screen. And then you land on the PSSA Keystone Scores page, where you'd then add any PSSA or Keystone scores that you might have handy. Now, you can come back to this screen in the future, so if you don't have that information available at the moment, you don't have to worry. But we'll click here to add a new one just to show you how to do it. Simply choose the school year, the type of test, the grade, the subject, and the score. Save score. Now you can enter multiple. If you're satisfied with the scores you've entered, you would click here to go to the demographics page. Now, as you can see, the demographics page is the first section in the pre-placement section of the referral, which is what you as the LEA will be working on this referral. All the fields I entered manually now come in as bold. If this student was returned from the PIMS call, you'd go right to this page. This information would already be filled out, including PSSA scores that were pulled from PIMS. A few of these fields, such as grade and exceptionality, you have the option to toggle because we've been informed that the PIMS information is not always up to date. So you'd simply click the pencil, change the drop down to the correct value, and hit save, and it'll update it. Now, your goal is to submit the referral to the provider, and several steps have to be met. And the system has a built-in way to make sure that everything that needs to be done is done before you're allowed to submit this referral to the provider. And anytime you want to change the status, aka submit the referral, you'll always see the option on the left-hand navigation of the demographics page. It may look like this if you come in and all you have to do is simply click the black bar to bring out the side menu, then click this push pin to lock it into place. The 5 sections in the pre-placement part of the referral: demographics, which you can see here, criteria, which is the criteria which led to this student referral, any behaviors and interventions that were attempted, verification page, and finally, manifestation determination. We'll go through each of these shortly, but I just want to show you first that in order to submit the referral, all the criteria has to be met, and it's built in here that if you were to click validate, it would fail. It's going to tell you why it failed and how to correct it. So for starters, I can't submit it because I haven't chosen a reason for the referral. You can see the section here and the issue at hand. You have not selected any reasons for referral. So in order for me to even validate the other sections, I have to list the specific reasons for referral. And each of these reasons is a clickable link that will take you to the section. So I'll click that link, and I come in here to section 2, criteria, and we have to select at least one of these as a reason for the referral. So depending on what you choose here is how it determines what future validation is required for the referral. So we'll just choose option 3, violent or threatening behavior on school property. Anytime you make a change to any page in the referral, you're always going to want to click Save at the bottom. You can click Save and Stay, which saves your information and stays on the page, or Save and Go, which will send you to the next section. So we'll click Save and Stay so that you can see anytime you make a change, you'll get a confirmation box at the top that'll confirm that you've made a change and it's been saved to the database. So now that we chose a reason for referral, if I was to try to resubmit the referral, once again using this link on the left side, we now get an official list of information required based on criteria for you to submit this referral. In the demographics section, we need a guardian name, phone number, and email. In the verification section, the receiving provider has not been set, which is ultimately step 1 because you have to list who you're sending this referral to. And finally, at least one completed disruptive behavior is required. So we'll go through each section, each of these 5 sections one by one. Demographics, as it said, guardian information is required. So if we were to just punch something in right here, and for phone and email, you can list a phone number or click NA. So that's pertinent information from the guardian, so we can save and go to the next section. Section 2 is criteria. We've already been on this section and we've already set the specific reason for referral to violent or threatening behavior. Section 3, behavior and intervention. You'll need at least one of these, so we'll click Add to see what is required. For behavior, you need the date of the disruptive behavior and a description of it. So I'll quickly just punch in anything. Save disruptive behavior at the bottom of the screen. Now, once that's saved, you'll have the option to add interventions, administrative, counselor, and SAP. If we click administrative, we'll see the behavior here listed and the date of the behavior is also listed. And there's 5 different interventions that you would, if each of these interventions was attempted, you can describe them in here. Reflection documents, school activities, involvement in meetings, child study, and also in-school and out-of-school suspension dates. Now, depending on the reasons for referral, aka the criteria, you may or may not have to add these. For the reason that I chose, you don't have to add an intervention, but you do have to have at least the date of the behavior and the behavior itself. Each of these sections, administrative, counselor, and SAP, also has an upload tool at the bottom of each section where you can upload any electronic file that you've deemed pertinent to this intervention. So I will just choose an example here and punch something in the optional description and hit upload. And boom, it's going to be there for the duration of this referral. It lists who was uploaded by and can only be deleted by the person that uploaded it. So if you uploaded it, you don't have to worry about someone at the provider deleting it, and vice versa. And the left nav here, when inside this behavior, you'll see that the links are specific to this behavior and this behavior only. Counselor, just like administrative, parent contact, action plan, check-in, schedule mods, conflict resolution, mentoring, peer meditation, referral to group, and individual, group, or community-based counseling. You would list the date of the attempted intervention and the possible outcomes. Once again, there's an upload tool in this section, as is there is one in the bottom of the SAP section, the third intervention type. And in the SAP section, you'll see contact with outside agencies, mental health, counseling, services, and whether or not the parent or student refused SAP services. So when we feel we've entered all behavior information, we can circle back to the behavior list, which will just be a long running list of every behavior that was added and the date of the disruptive behavior and a quick link to each of those sections within that particular behavior. The fourth section, verification, all that's in here is some information about the informal hearing, when it was scheduled, and when the parent was contacted in regards to attending the informal hearing, the location of the hearing. This is a radio button, LEA, students, residents, or other. If you were to choose other, you'd punch in the corresponding description in this text box. And this section is important here. Result of the informal hearing / immediate placement. The student will be placed in the blank AEDY program. This is going to bring back a list of all providers that are on your most recently completed application. So you would need to choose the provider that you want to send the student referral to, and be sure to save on the bottom of this page. So save and stay. Changes have been saved. It doesn't hurt to save periodically, even if you're not done working on a page, just to protect against a possible session timeout if you've been working on a page for an extended period of time. Also on this page is the upload for the informal hearing signatures. Once again, this behaves like any other upload tool that you've seen on the application or in the referral. Navigate to a file, optional description, and upload. And you'll see it here. That's the fourth section. The fifth section, manifestation. There's just some predetermined text and boilerplate information there. And then 2 affirmations. One, that the manifestation was conducted. You must check this and date it. And second, that you affirm that the SES was viewed and approved. And at the bottom of this section is one more upload tool where, as you can see, it says attach special education documents. So this is for any general document, IEP, or anything that might apply to this referral, any information the provider could use that you haven't already uploaded in a different part of the referral. So if I was to choose a file for this section, there's also a drop-down of document type, and you can list whether it's an ER or an FBA, or if none of the above, you would just choose other. Upload it. You'll see on the bottom that it's been successfully uploaded. Now this is the 5 sections of the pre-placement section part of the referral. So if I was to circle back to demographics and submit student referral to provider like we had tried earlier, this time we're going to hit validate, and we're going to see the green check. It means all systems go. We're able to submit this referral to the provider. So next we would proceed to the referral submission page. So we're going to click the submission page button, and what this does is informs you who will be emailed from the receiving provider about this incoming student referral. And these are just test emails that are not legit. You have the option of continuing with the emails that it pulled from that provider's application, or you can uncheck them and enter any other email that you feel that person would need to know this information. So we'll punch in an email, and you can combine. You can use both of the contact emails that were already pulled from the database, as well as add up to 2 more of your own. And once you've determined the correct people will be emailed, you would click Submit Referral to AEDY Provider. And once the emails are sent, you will see this notice. The provider has been sent an email notification. You can no longer make modifications to this referral until the provider returns the referral to your LEA. Click here to return home. Now, if we were to go back into the referral dashboard, we'll see that that referral has moved from in process into this stage, transitioning to AEDY Provider. We would click the 1. We'll see the referral that we just created. And at this point, the referral is in a view-only mode to you as the LEA. You can still navigate each of these sections and see information that you've already entered. The only difference is you can't make any changes at the time. You can only view and go to each section. So for this referral, there's nothing more for you to do until the provider accepts the referral, does their end of the referral, the placement sections, and eventually, after 1 or more 45-day stays at the provider, submits the referral back to you, the LEA. At which point, you would get an email from the provider that the referral has been submitted back to you. And the next time you logged in, you would see the referral in this 4th option, referrals transitioning back to LEA. So if I was to click this is not the same referral I created naturally, but this is a different one that I created to show you the process. So you would come in here, click View Edit, and its current status is transition back to LEA, but since you have not accepted it back from the provider yet, you'll be reminded that you cannot make changes until you re-accept, and the option to re-accept is highlighted in yellow to remind you that you need to do that in order to continue. So if I was to click this link, you'll see this screen a lot. It looks similar to when you submitted it to the provider. It's just letting you know who at the provider end will be emailed to let them know that you're accepting the referral back into the LEA. So I will put in an email and hit Accept Referral. Now, the provider has been sent an email notification. The referral status is now accepted by LEA. You can now continue to work on the post-placement section. And since we're already in the referral, we can go right to any of those sections right now by clicking in the left side navigation. But just to show you, if you return home and go back into the referrals created by your LEA link, you'll see that that referral is now in the 5th and final column, post-placement. You would click that link, find the referral that you're looking to work on, and click View Edit. Now that the referral is back in the status that allows you to edit it as an LEA, you'll see that you have the Save buttons at the bottom again. You no longer have the View buttons. So theoretically, these 5 sections were done by your LEA earlier in the process. The provider took care of the placement and assessments sections, and after they submit back to you, it's the LEA's job to complete the post-placement outcome section, which simply is just a radio option of the general outcomes. You can select one from this list, and it's everything from student transition normally back to the regular classroom, graduated, dropped out, etc. So we'll choose one of these, and the transition end date, the date that the transition back to the LEA ended. So we'll punch in a date, and whether or not it was a successful or unsuccessful transition. Save that information. Everything in the post-placement section is complete. And the final step, once transition is complete and the student is back in an everyday regular classroom setting, you would want to close the referral. And that's, once again, a link on the left side navigation right here where you would just click Close this referral. And for the 5th and last time, you'll see the email screen where you're going to want to enter the emails of who would be alerted. 9 times out of 10, the correct people will come back from the application, so you won't have to change who's being emailed. And if you read, you're closing the referral. This will be completely locked from further editing. The people listed above will be emailed that the referral has been completed. And any requests to unlock this referral after this step will have to be done with approval from PDE. So I chose who's going to be emailed. I click close and lock this referral. And the referral has been successfully closed. It no longer shows up on any of the options in the dashboard, and this allows you to now create a referral for this student in the future should another one be needed. Obviously, you cannot create a referral for a student if there is already one referral that's open that has not been completed. So that's basically the process for an LEA that submits to an outside provider. If you ever have any other questions that you need to know about the referral, you can always consult this help link in the top right corner, and you'll find an email address for contacts at Patan or contacts at Leader Services if it is in regards to navigating the referral. And that's it. Thank you for attending this demonstration. Have a good day.